Hello and welcome, guys. Welcome to my review of episode 1 of Moon Knight. Now, I will put my hands up and say I am not particularly well versed in the character. I know of him from the comics, but I have never really read any of them. So this is an interesting one for me. And also, I was very skeptical going into this because of the previous MCU shows that we've had. For me, haven't been particularly strong. It started off promising with WandaVision, but fell apart after a few episodes, and the rest of them really haven't been able to grab my attention. But this one, I was pleasantly surprised with. For the first episode, I thought it was very strong. This is one that I think doesn't automatically assume that everybody knows what they're talking about. This, as I said, is a character that hasn't been introduced into the MCU. This is something that is fresh, something that is new, and it worked very well for the first episode. Partly because the cast was so strong. Oscar Isaacs really knocks it out of the park in this, as both Mark Spector and as the much weaker character that he plays, Stephen Grant. And also, we had a very strong performance from Ethan Hawke, who plays the villain in this, Arthur Harrow. And they have some really great scenes together, which I was surprised. I thought with the first episode, we were going to see much less of them on screen. But I'm really glad that we did, because they play off each other incredibly well. This episode plays out kind of like a mystery, I guess would be the best way to describe it. It makes really good use of the flipping back and forth between the characters, and the main character that we see, as played by Isaacs, is Stephen Grant. Now, this is somebody who is clearly not in control of their own lives. I think everybody can kind of relate to that. We've all had that feeling, we're kind of not always in control, but he is literally somebody who is kind of a passenger in his own life. And this is a character that I think a lot of people will really struggle to warm up to, because he is so passive. He is almost, could be described as a beta character. He gets bullied by his boss. He doesn't really have much of in the way of a social life. He has this huge passion for Egyptology and the gods, and he really wants to show the world this passion, but he's so kind of beaten down, and because he has this flipping back and forth, and sleep loss and problems, he's comes across as so weak, and I think a lot of people really are going to have problems with that. I would imagine we're going to see more of the flip side of the character, which is Mark, as the episodes go on. So fingers crossed that that's going to be the case. But I liked him, I've got to admit, and he really kind of some of the scenes, he really does kind of tug on the heartstrings a little bit. And the one thing that I was also really impressed with was how good Oscar is with physical comedy. There's a scene later on in the episode with Arthur Harrow, and he's got this scarab gripped in his hand, and he's desperately trying to let go of it, and he can't get his fingers to open up, and he really does sell it. That's not an easy thing to do, but I was really impressed with it. So going forward, I'm really hopeful. Another thing that I thought was brilliantly done was the use of music. Really impressed with that. And one thing that could have come across as incredibly gimmicky, but thankfully wasn't, was their use of mirrors and reflections throughout the episode. Sometimes used as a little bit of a jump scare, but again, it could have come across as quite kind of corny, but it didn't, thankfully, so I was impressed with that as well. Wasn't all good for me. The CGI, especially later on, we see characters come out, and it doesn't look great, I've got to admit, especially for an MCU show. So fingers crossed that that gets better. But on the flip side, a lot of this did seem to be filmed on location rather than on a film set, or behind a green screen. So I will take that. And the other thing that I think a lot of people will have an issue with, but I didn't think was too bad, was that we don't really get to see anything of Moon Knight up until the last, like, probably 5 seconds of the show. I didn't think it was that bad because the pacing was pretty good for this. Like I say, it plays out like a mystery, and I didn't feel bored. I didn't think it dragged at any point in this episode. So um, fingers crossed that they keep this really kind of good pacing and really strong cast going forward. They did introduce Khonshu, which was a interesting way. He actually looks great with the CGI. I think that was one of the stronger parts, especially since you kind of see him just pop up. You see him just on the street while Stephen's on a bus, and he does kind of a double take, and then you see him later on in the episode coming towards him down a badly lit corridor towards a lift, and I thought that was a really effective scene as well. So, on the whole, I think it's enough to keep me entertained and to keep my interest. And honestly, like I said, I was very surprised. So well done to Marvel for that. I'm actually looking forward to the next episode. We have 6 episodes in this series, so fingers crossed that they all stay as strong as this first episode. So, guys, a massive thank you to everybody who joined to take a check at this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, there will be more to come. And big thank you to everybody who checked it out. So, guys, have a fantastic rest of your day and take care.